I mean, look, some people have skills and some people, they just wish they had these mad USB skills.
So that's your superpower then.
That's
Okay.
my superpower. Hello.
Yeah, totally believable.
Welcome to the Geekly News, where we discuss our superpowers. I
Off to
definitely
a rousing start.
can definitely plug in a USB on the first try.
Lies.
We also we have matching tankards.
Oh, do we?
Yes.
That was completely unplanned. I want that known at the outset.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
There's that
mine is a
camera I have
critical
in your house.
mine is a critical role one with I have passed through fire leather wrap.
Mine is a critical role one that says I would like to rage.
It's the classic. Gotta respect that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so first episode back in a bajillion years.
Right? It feels like a really long time.
It technically hasn't been that long, but it feels long.
Well, it's been like, well, to be fair, the last few years have passed by like decades. It's been a long few years, man.
True. I mean, to illustrate that point, I met someone at work and had worked with this person remotely and got introduced to her in person when I was visiting another office. And the person introduced me was like, "Oh yeah, you remember Mary, right?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, we worked on that thing together last year." And she was like, "That was like 6 months ago." I'm like,
also,
oh.
we're barely 2 minutes into this and already got interrupted by my 6-year-old.
Oh.
So, yeah, we're right back where we started.
Yeah. It's like nothing, and no time has passed at all. It's just picking right back up. It's like when you go into the next season of a show and they end on a cliffhanger and then they just start back up.
Yeah, right back up where it was.
So talking about things that are picking up, we're going to pick up with what happened in 2019.
Recap episode. This is basically our take on the biggest geek news of 2019, since we missed I think 4 months out of that year for this show.
Pretty close to it, I think.
So this is just us recapping what we feel are the highlights. Now, keep in mind, your experience may differ.
Right. But, I mean, my opinion is always correct. So, there's that. All right. Let's jump into games. So, our top games for 2019.
Okay. So, I want to preface this by saying, when I quantify a top game, it's not necessarily game of the year quality or, best graphics or best story or whatever.
Right.
To me, what really impacts me for a game is either emotional content or a game that, in the case of one of these games that I'm about to name off, is made by a company that I have studiously boycotted for several years. A company that I have ranted against on this podcast multiple times, if you go back and listen to some of the older episodes. So to that end, my first pick for top game of 2019 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Mostly because EA has been a hated entity of mine for a long time, as most of our viewers and listeners know.
This is known. It is known.
It is known. So a good friend of mine on Twitter, Dresden King, could not stop recommending this game to me. Absolutely went nuts. Just saying, I know you have an aversion to EA, but you've got to try this game. It's amazing. I was like, fine. Okay, I'll give it a shot. Friends, I'm glad I did. It is the polar opposite of a stereotypical EA game. There's no multiplayer, no microtransactions, no hidden anything. It is just a story-driven, one-player narrative, and it's a really good narrative too.
But how much
Like,
of that was influenced by it being Star Wars?
not much, actually. I've largely fallen out of Star Wars in recent years, mostly because of the fandom behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that plus, like, you know, I guess as you grow up, some of the magic wears off of things,
Right.
and tastes change and views change. And while I enjoy Star Wars, I saw Episode 9 when it came out. I thought it was a decent popcorn flick. It tied up some loose ends. It was fun. It was an experience. I
Right.
didn't go to Star Wars to be, like, emotionally devastated. I went to watch shit blow up and watch laser sword fights. Like, that's why you go watch Star Wars now. But it the narrative and the story in Fallen Order, it didn't feel like a Star Wars game half the time,
Okay.
honestly. It just felt like what Star Wars is supposed to be, which is a space opera.
Right.
Like, it was this grand sweeping narrative, uh, focusing on actual, like, complicated, fleshed out characters, and it legitimately hit me a couple times. Like, it was really good. It got emotional at times. It
Mm-hmm.
hit all the right beats. The From a more technical standpoint, the gameplay mechanics, it took a little bit to get used to.
Okay.
But once you do, you are a freaking god. Like, I will sit there with a double-bladed lightsaber and just mow down an entire pack of enemies without taking a hit.
Huh.
Like, there's definitely a power fantasy type feel to it.
Okay.
So, like, all of these factors kinda came together, and this is the first EA game I've bought since Andromeda. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and before that, like, the last EA game I bought was Mass Effect 3, I think. That was the
Right.
only reason I bought Andromeda, was like, "Ooh, Mass Effect, maybe they didn't fuck it up." I was wrong, but, we all were.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is one of my picks.
So, I mean, I'm definitely on the same wavelength where I prefer more story-driven stuff. I mean, most of my stream is based around story-driven things. So,
Mhm.
for me, my two were Control and Death Stranding. And
Now see, I have not played either, so elevator pitch me. Like,
so
I know
Control
what Death Stranding is. I have no clue what Control is.
Okay. So Control was made by Remedy, I believe. So like the people who did what was it? Quantum Break? You know, with like
Okay.
the stop motion-y kind of stuff. So what's interesting about Control is it definitely took that idea and they kind of morphed it into something new. So you've got a little bit of like that bullet time kind of feel with some of the combat. You as you're progressing, you're picking up new abilities and you pick them up in a way that is built into the narrative and it's not like, oh, I unlocked this skill point, so now I can do this.
Right.
So I thought that was cool. I think the story overall was interesting, and it didn't really like get lost under the weight of itself, which is something that I will admit that Death Stranding kind of could do. Um, so the story would build like as you were getting further and further into the campaign. So that saw as a positive. Also, just visually, they did a lot of really cool stuff that almost was kind of like MC Escher esque, where things were like twisting and building, and you had like some very geometric things happening where like walls would just kind of suddenly grow and they'd have like all these shapes coming out and or like rooms would suddenly twist on themselves and reshape and it was just really cool to see, and it would do it, in real time where you could see the room change, or sometimes you would just walk
Mhm.
into a room and it would just be crazy already on its own because there were things having to do with like other dimensions and all kinds of stuff going on. Um, so just visually, it was really interesting. The combat was fun, and you could pick how you wanted to do things. So you had um, various abilities again that you picked up along the way. You had different weapons that you could use, but you didn't. Never really felt like a time that you had to use a specific type of weapon. You could definitely play in the way that felt most comfortable for you. Um, and you definitely like felt more powerful as the game went on. So kind of like that power fantasy
Huh.
type of thing too. Maybe not so much that you felt like a god, but definitely where you felt the difference from where you started to where you ended up. Um, and there's like the way the story unfolded. I thought was really cool. So for me, I
Huh.
think it had a lot of different elements that made it a really good game. And then just to top it off, like it was kind of weird, and I'm into weird shit, so I was like, yeah, this is kind of ticks all the boxes of things that would make me want to play it. So
I might have to check that out now.
yeah, I mean, it was a pretty popular game, and
Well, you also have to think, like, video games for me in 2019 were sparing at best.
yeah, I get
Like,
that.
I've largely, except for a couple, I've stopped playing video games as heavily as I used to. I
Yeah,
get maybe 5 hours a week in now.
yeah.
Um, and that's mostly because, between work and now I'm writing again,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm running 2 friggin' D&D campaigns still because I'm a masochist and I hate myself.
Right.
Uh, that's taken a lot of time. Yeah, I might have to check that out.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the thing that really kind of hits home whether or not I enjoyed a game is if I finish it to the end. And I did finish that one along with Death Stranding. So that
Yeah,
I
I still have
start a
several
lot of
games sitting on
things.
my console.
Yeah.
I have several games sitting on my console that I started and then never finished. The
Yep.
Last of Us was actually one of those for the longest time,
Yeah.
and then the trailer for The Last of Us 2 came out, and I was like, "Okay, fuck, alright, I gotta go play through it." I'm
Right.
glad I did,
Yeah.
but it was definitely sitting in the queue for a long time.
Yeah.
Also, side note, because it only needs, like, 30 seconds, um, my other top game of 2019, for obvious reasons, um, is Kingdom Hearts 3, and I will go ahead and say it now. If you don't know what Kingdom Hearts is, or if you haven't played any of the other ones, don't play this game.
Yeah, that was pretty
Okay?
much where I ended up because everybody kept
Like,
telling me, "Oh, you have to play Kingdom Hearts," and I was like, "It's never been a thing I picked up. I don't know."
yeah,
And
like,
then
'cause the running joke with the Kingdom Hearts franchise is the lore is ridiculously confusing. Like, even me,
yeah,
who's been a fan since Kingdom Hearts 1,
yeah.
I have trouble with it. And even I have to go back into the wiki and be like, "Wait, what? No, no, wait, what?" And even the wiki is confusing. And
Yikes.
so, yeah, it was a nostalgia hit, it was emotional, it was fun.
Right.
If you're a longtime fan of the franchise, there's even more confusing lore in this game that makes no fucking sense if you apply the slightest amount of scrutiny to it.
Right.
But let's be honest, we don't play Kingdom Hearts for the story, it's to whack things with a keyblade. So, that was Kingdom Hearts 3 was that nostalgia fulfillment of, "We've been waiting so goddamn long for this game, we finally have it, so
Mhm.
yay." And that was
Right.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I debated for a while trying it because so many people that I knew were like super jazzed about it coming out and whatever. And I just
I was
looked
one of them.
at I looked at the previous games and I looked at all the stuff that I had to catch up on, and I was like, that's too much work. Um,
Yeah, yeah, there are a lot of Kingdom Hearts games spread out across multiple consoles. There was even lore in Kingdom Hearts 3
uh,
from the mobile game.
jeez.
Like, I had to go play the mobile game to figure that there's a
Oh,
scene toward the very end of the game where all these, like, random names that look like like mobile screen names start
Uh-huh.
popping up in the corner for like this one thing, and I'm like, what the
What?
fuck is this? Like, it makes no sense out of context.
Yeah, I
Ugh.
don't know.
Yeah,
So,
it's confusing.
well, talking about confusing. So my other game was Death Stranding, and
Yeah.
what the thing that I found most amusing about streaming my playthrough was how many people literally just showed up to be like, "Can you explain what's going on to me?"
Yeah, no, I can explain it in one sentence. It's FedEx Simulator 2019.
I don't even know if I would say that because that's oversimplifying. There was definitely a lot more going on than that. But I think one of the things that Death Stranding brought to just like the game industry was a slightly different approach to gameplay, and I see it potentially influencing other games. I don't see that, people are going to try to make like their own version of Death Stranding. I think that would be incredibly difficult to do. But
Mhm.
there was something oddly therapeutic about like going and delivering packages or helping to build things in the world that you knew would help other people, and things that they built that helped you as you were going through your playthrough. So that,
Right, as I haven't actually played it, but I read a fair amount of things, like, apparently, like, things that other people do will show up in your save,
yeah.
like ladders pulled down and stuff?
Yeah. So, like, if you put a ladder somewhere, like to climb up somewhere or to go across a river, or maybe you built a bridge or you had a rope to get somewhere easier, things like that, or even building roads, um, how they determined what players who would be interacting with you, and I use interacting very loosely in your
Mhm.
gameplay. I'm not sure how exactly that happened, but um yeah, like if I put something down, someone else could see that in their playthrough and they could use it. And then there was a like system, which was kind of amusing. So it's kind of like social media, but someone could like the ladder that I laid down because they used it and they found it helpful as they were trying to traverse the world.
That that sounds very Dark Soulsy,
Right. So
actually.
um it was interesting in that the fact that other people were playing the game was sort of built into the game world, because they touched on there potentially being multiple versions of you across like different timelines or dimensions or something like that. Um,
Huh.
and you could talk to, and talk in air quotes, you could talk to other players. There was like, you press a button and it would generate one of any like preset number of vocal call outs that Sam would do. And then they could respond back to you and you could hear each other, but you couldn't see each other. So it was like, it was very loosely multiplayer, but still not. You very much had your playthrough that,
So, it essentially captured the annoying parts of multiplayer without
I wouldn't say that, because
well, okay, yeah, like, it could still help you with, like, bridges and ladders and okay, yeah, I see it.
in the
I
talking
just
thing, it didn't really happen a lot. And even then, um, it would only be
I'm
when
just
someone
envisioning
was
so many
within
opportunities to
proximity.
troll.
Oh,
Like, that's what I'm
I don't think I ever came across anything trolly. And even so, you were limited in what you could do. So
okay, okay.
you didn't really have like a whole lot that you could do that would maybe negatively affect someone else. And if someone
Okay,
were just to sit there and like spam the voice stuff over and over, all I had to do was leave the immediate area and I wouldn't be able to hear them anymore. So,
fair enough.
um, but no, I just thought it was really interesting to have this mechanism where you could help other people and they could help you, but it didn't interfere with your playthrough at all. And you could opt to not use anybody else's shit and not give any likes or whatever, and that's fine too. Like, it's totally a way that
So,
you can
my
play through the
option,
game.
basically.
Right. Yeah, you could do the antisocial playthrough.
The hermit option. I like it.
But I thought that was really different. And then again, I felt like just kind of going through the world, as long as you were avoiding like the monsters and everything, was like, it's kind of therapeutic. You might reach like a countryside where, yes, you could be doing a lot of walking or riding around because you got vehicles and stuff too. That it would recognize that you're just kind of like in this big open area, and suddenly it would just start like playing a song, and the soundtrack was fantastic. So, you just be like riding along, and then all of a sudden it's like this music would kick in, and you're just like, wow, and it was really relaxing, and the game was beautiful and stuff. So I don't know. For me, I found that kind of zen. And then, yeah, you had to like fight some shit, and there's a very big story that you had to kind of like wade your way through.
So does the story make sense?
So it does. And the funny thing is, as I was playing through, I was paying very close attention to every little bit of dialogue and lore and whatever. Like, I wanted to know everything that was going on to be able to make sure I understood what was happening. And then you get to what?
And you still didn't.
I felt like I was pretty solid on it. Again, like, people kept coming to me to ask me to explain it. So it's kind of like one of those things where you understand something better when you have to teach it to someone else. So the more times that I was explaining it to other people, I like felt more and more comfortable in what was going on. But then I get to the end of the game, and end again in air quotes. They basically had this like 2-hour epilogue where they just pretty much told you everything that happened. Like, literally, there was someone narrating and be like, so this happens, and then, that caused this, and that's why I did this, and whatever. And so, I mean, it wasn't a bad thing because for the people who weren't paying attention all the way up, they could have been like, so what the fuck just happened? And then someone's like, here, let me tell you exactly what happened in case you missed it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I just found it funny because I put so much energy into like trying to pick up all these little bits and pieces, and then they were just like, well, we're just going to tell you now. So
all that work for nothing.
Right. But even so, there was a lot of context that I got through all of the little lore bits and stuff that they didn't really cover in that wrap up stuff. So, I feel like I still got a little something extra from paying attention, but
okay.
There was definitely a lot going on, and in some ways I felt like was trying to be cerebral just to appear as being sophisticated, and is getting maybe a little too overburdened by everything they were trying to do in the story. But in the end, I enjoyed it. I played it through the end, so again, it says something.
That says a lot, yeah. Well, add it to the list of shit I will play eventually.
Right, eventually. Oh my gosh, my list is so long.
Yeah, mine too. I think I'll die with having it maybe half finished.
Someone tweeted the other day, was like, tell me how many games you have in your Steam library and how many you've actually played. And all I could say was, I'm afraid to even look.
Won't answer that question.
No, we just don't touch that one. Okay.
That's like asking a woman her age. You just don't ask that.
You just
that is a
don't.
Very sensitive subject. That's terrible.
It is. Yeah. I think that is the perfect analogy. So it's like, no, I'm not even answering that one. Thank you very much.
Sir, I am offended that you would ask that question.
Right? How dare? All right.
I shouldn't find that as funny as I do. That's amazing.
But it's the truth, though. Anyone who has a Steam
100%.
account that's older than a few months knows this struggle.
Hell, even on console, I've got games on my console that, like, full disclosure, I still have God of War sitting in my queue, maybe a 10th of the way through.
Like the new one?
Yeah.
I actually finished that one too. So you should finish it.
Interest. I lost interest. I don't know. I'll try later, but, like,
Yeah.
an autism brain, if I lose interest, I probably won't come back to it.
I mean,
Like, it's
I
a
have
good chance.
I have ADHD brain, so pretty similar. I get it.
Maybe I will this year, or
Right.
maybe I won't.
Knows. All right. So let's shift gears to shows, TV shows.
Yeah, you listed most of the shows I was gonna list, so
Yeah.
but to be fair, like, I've always been a little off kilter, so both my shows are shows that have never appeared, uh, on a normal streaming service
Sure. Yeah.
or TV. So, and,
I
like,
don't even. Okay. So
one of them you can't even really consider a TV show, I guess. I don't
yeah.
know. We'll get to it.
Well, and now that okay, so now I have like one I want to add to that wouldn't necessarily be a TV show. Okay, so I
Speed
just
run. Go.
disclaimer, I have a hard time picking a favorite of anything. So
Her Yeah, no, just to I we can't, like, visibly show you guys, but on our little spreadsheet where we list all the topics, I have, like, 2 items in this category, and like, in the box is, like, this big. Hers is like this,
it's like an
alright?
inch tall.
It is a good inch tall on my screen. There's a lot.
So do you want to go first then?
Sure. Um, so again, it's similar, like, all of my media consumption is not at all based on what everyone likes or, what wins awards or this, that, or the other. How I judge media is very much how it impacts my life personally. Um, so both of the shows I have listed here are very much fit that bill. The first and this the current season of this is still ongoing. We just watched the latest episode tonight, actually, like right before we started recording this. Um, but if anyone is familiar with the show Ruby from Rooster Teeth, they are the same guys who do Red versus Blue, and Camp, and all sorts of other amazing shows. Like, I can't recommend Rooster Teeth enough. I've been a subscriber on their channel for as long as they've had a subscription model. Um, and Ruby especially, like, this is a show that I'm able to bond with my kids with because they love it too. It's one of the few times a week where my wife and I are able to sit down on the couch and actually watch something together. And this is why, like, I'm still only 2 episodes into The Witcher because that's another show that I watch with my wife, and we haven't had time to watch it yet. So I'm still only 2 episodes in, and it's bad. Um, but Ruby, especially the current season, it's gotten really good. It hits a lot of good emotional points, and it's honestly just really, really good action, really good writing, and I enjoy the hell out of it. And I recommend Ruby to anyone who likes, like, it's a combination of anime style animation, but it's American made. Um, it has action, it has humor, it has, like, moral dilemmas and emotional situations. Like, it's pretty much everything contained into one show.
I have to
Um,
admit, I watched the first couple seasons of Ruby and I enjoyed it, and then I just kind of forgot about it. And so when you said volume 7, I was like,
yeah,
shit.
they are on volume 7 right now. And, like, and you're not there yet. The show takes a hard left turn at the end of volume 3.
Okay.
Like, hard left. Like, it shatters all expectations. It does not go where you think it's gonna go because,
Mhm.
one of the main themes to this show is not everything has a happy ending,
Right.
and not everything goes the way you plan, and the good guys don't always win.
Right.
So, it and I loved the show for that. It was good to finally see a show acknowledge that, and
Yeah.
not just, coat their main protagonist in Mary Sue plot armor and just fucking throw her into danger, and, "Oh, we know she'll be fine because 'cause she'll come out the other end." You don't always know that, and it doesn't always happen that way. So, but yeah, it's a fantastic show, highly recommend it. Even if you're not a subscriber, you can still watch the whole series for free on Rooster Teeth.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like, the subscribers will get new episodes a week early. That's the only benefit.
Oh,
Um,
I respect that.
but yeah, you can have a free account and watch everything.
Nice.
Um, so the second show on my list, I hesitate to even call it a show because it's an ongoing. Okay, so anyone who has watched this podcast or listened to this podcast for any amount of time knows that I am 100% a rabid Critical Role fan.
Right.
Like, I'm wearing a Molly Mock shirt. I have the friggin' tankard. I have a signed copy of Critical Role Vox Machina Origins sitting on that bookshelf. I'm looking right at it. Like, I'm a fan. All right.
Is fan even the right word?
I'm choosing to use that word. It's a conscious choice. Okay.
Okay.
Don't you come at me with that energy.
Okay.
Shit, you derailed me. Yeah, so it's 2019 was a bit of a rough year for me. And it was a really emotional year for me. And there was a lot of things that happened that I didn't put out on social media and I'm not gonna put out on social media. And it's one of the reasons why we had a hiatus on this podcast for so friggin' long is
Yeah.
shit kept happening.
Yeah.
And throughout all of it, one of the constants in my life has been Critical Role. And I'm actually going back through the first campaign in podcast form right now. Like whenever I'm like just sitting here like writing or messing around the computer or even at work, like when I'm
Mhm.
doing work, I will have it playing in the background because this show has done so much for me mentally and emotionally because yeah, they're voice actors and they're playing a game, but they bring these characters to life. And for those who don't know, Critical Role is a weekly live streamed game of Dungeons and Dragons, voiced and played by prominent voice actors. The DM Matthew Mercer is the voice of McCree in Overwatch. Uh, Travis Willingham, Ashley Johnson, Liam O'Brien, Laura Bailey, Sam Riegel, and God, I'm missing one. Marisha Ray. Why did I forget Marisha? I'm so sorry, Marisha. Um, uh, but they're all these and Taliesin Jaffe. Fuck, I keep forgetting people.
There's a lot of
My brain
people.
is. There's a lot of people. There were 6 normal cast members, and Ashley Johnson was like a recurring thing when because she was filming Blind Spot in New York, but now the Blind Spot's over. She's a full cast member, and she's there all the time now. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So this show is they bring these characters to life in such a way that it is impossible not to relate to them. It is impossible not to have that empathetic link to them and understand their plight and their problems and identify with them. Like I have a tattoo on my forearm right here, and you can't really see it very well, but it's a quote from Vax'ildan, Liam O'Brien's character in the first campaign. Because this quote, it's what do we have in this moment in this world except for moments with each other? This quote literally, I got this tattoo last year, and it literally helped me through a really, really dark spot. Like,
Hmm.
I cannot impress enough how amazing this show can be if you give it a chance.
Yeah.
It is, and there's a reason why they were able to raise over $11 million in 45 days for an animated version
Oh,
of this
sure.
show. Like, and Amazon picked it up, and now they're doing 24 episodes, and it just I'm not gonna give away any spoilers for anyone who wants to go back and watch the first campaign or catch up on the second one. All I will say is it is amazing. The actors are extremely down to earth. The characters are complex. The storyline is amazing. Matt Mercer is a just unbelievably amazing and talented, so much it makes me sick sometimes. As a fellow DM, like, I wish I had half of his talent.
Hmm. Well,
Like,
he also has the benefit of being an actor, so
well, and he has the benefit of, like, being able to devote full time to his campaign.
right.
I do 2 campaigns part-time.
Right.
So, but yeah, it is very much worth your watch. It is very much worth your time. And yeah, like I cannot sing enough praises for that show. It is
Yeah.
amazing. At the risk of overusing that word.
Right. I get it.
So, but those are my choices for 2019. Those are the ones that impacted me the most.
So to go through my laundry list of shows.
Yeah, brace yourselves.
In no particular order, by the way. The OA Part 2, which I'm a big fan of Britt Marling, so of course I was naturally going to like her show on Netflix. And
this is known.
There's a reason why there's a whole campaign of people and a hashtag to save the OA. It's a really good show. If you're someone who's into like strong sci-fi and ambiguous storylines, like it's worth checking out. Even though
I've caught a little bit of it. I've liked what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Just I haven't been able to watch it the whole way through yet.
The second season, I'm not getting any spoilers, but they could have ended it very, just kind of like tie everything in a bow and, whatever. But they ended it in the most OA possible way that they could have ended a season. And
yeah, that's not cryptic at all.
It just, I was like, wait, what? So, I mean, I wish that there would be someone would pick up, I guess someone, I don't know if it's a someone thing because it's a Netflix show and people typically don't pick up Netflix shows. Netflix is the one who picks up other people's shows. So
yeah, Netflix is just, Netflix is hoarding canceled shows at this point.
Yeah. Between that and Sense8,
of Lucifer.
It's like, ugh, why?
I mean,
Netflix,
I'm still waiting for season 5 of Lucifer, but
Yeah. So the OA is really good. Watchmen, which I was ambiguous on my feelings about, like, if it was going to be a good show or not.
Considering previous installments of like live screen, be it movie or show adaptations of Watchmen, like you were right to be hesitant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it actually surprised me and it went in directions that I didn't expect. And it picks up from the graphic novel. It does not base itself on the live action movie. So for people who weren't fans of that but were fans of the graphic novel, there's that to consider if you're thinking about watching it or thought maybe you didn't want to watch it. It took some twists and turns, but it was really good and it definitely was in the spirit of the original story. So I enjoyed that one.
I'll give it a shot.
The Witcher, I think, is that was going to be an obvious choice, but
yeah. Also, side note, the reason The Mandalorian is not on either is because obviously that show is easily amazing. We're not going after low-hanging fruit here. Come on, guys.
Well,
except
okay,
for Witcher,
so
of course, obviously.
I have comments on The Mandalorian, but I'm gonna come back to that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
Okay, so The Witcher, for someone who tried to play The Witcher 3 and kind of lost interest because there was just so much going on and I was getting distracted by like side missions and had no idea what was happening.
Massively unpopular opinion. I did not like The Witcher 3.
I just couldn't really get into it. So
it was I don't understand. Like, I get people like it. I get people say it's a good game. I don't believe them.
Yeah. I'm not in that camp. So
yeah, same. But
I watched
Netflix
the show and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And
I think because the show actually follows, from my understanding, it follows the books.
Yes. It starts with the series of short stories that first introduced the Witcher as a character.
Right.
And one thing that I learned was they actually flesh out backstories for some of the characters that weren't really in the source material. So, that's something a little different. It's not necessarily like they're following the books strictly verbatim, but I was I was a little apprehensive when they shared the first like promotional photo. I don't know if it was a promotional photo. Maybe it was like a sneak peek photo of Henry Cavill with this white
when
wig.
he came out of the black, like with the get up for like a split second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were it was a very much a Heath Ledger in Dark Knight moment where when the casting decision was first announced that Heath Ledger would be the Joker,
right.
Literally every Batman fanboy in earshot just like screamed bloody murder. And then like, oh, he's going to be terrible. That's a terrible pick. And then this, that, the other. And then he just fucking killed it.
I don't even know it was so much
here.
that. I mean, I can understand. There were definitely some people who were in that camp. I think it was just for me when they showed that initial photo of him in costume. It looked like he was wearing a bad Legolas wig. And I was just like, do better. Like if that was representative of the quality of the show, then I was like, this is going to be a shit show.
I think that was just a last minute throw together of, okay, fuck it. We'll make him look kind of like Geralt and throw him out there.
Right.
Just to get this damn promo out.
Right. But no, it ended up looking way better in the show. Also, Henry Cavill looks fucking hot as Geralt. So there's that.
Yeah, of course.
And
he's a gorgeous guy.
And some people complain about not being able to follow what's going on. But, you know, if you pay attention and don't multitask and like, you know, fuck around on your phone or something while you're watching the show, it will make sense. You know, you can understand what's going on within the episodes of the show and the timelines and everything that are at play. So that aside, I thought it was really enjoyable. It surprised me. Binge watched the fuck out of it. So actually thinking about watching it again just because.
Yeah, still gotta wait for my wife. We'll get around to it eventually.
Yeah. The thing is, like, once you get started, it's really hard to be like, okay, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna do something else.
I want to keep watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Witcher also gave us the biggest earworm of 2019.
Oh my gosh.
With that friggin' song. Yeah. Everyone listening to this podcast, now it's stuck in your head.
I don't even want to say it. I don't want to say it.
We don't need to. That's the magic.
I know, right? All right, moving on. Love, Death, and Robots. It's actually an animated anthology series on Netflix. They're very short episodes. None of them are connected to each other in any way. It's
so kind of like the Animatrix.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Okay.
Each episode is kind of like self-contained. There's no need to like know what's going on in different ones or whatever, but within a short span of time, they tell very interesting stories. And I think just like any good sci-fi, you know, kind of makes you consider different viewpoints. So I enjoyed that one a lot. I was almost sad how short it was. So I'm hoping that they make more. But I hope it doesn't turn into another Black Mirror situation where it's like it started out, you know, really good. And then as it becomes more popular and they want to appeal to more people, then it kind of like gets a little soft and maybe less edgy and cool. I don't know. I like to be a hipster about my media, I guess.
No. Never would have guessed.
Shut up. Dark season 2 came out this year. So Dark originally came out, I think, in like 2017. It's actually a German show. But you can watch it on Netflix. You can either watch it dubbed in English or you can watch it in German with English subtitles. I recommend the latter. The English dub
I would do that anyway because
comically bad.
Well, I can speak and understand passable German, so
same. I understand better than I can speak it, but
right, same.
I tried listening to the dubbed English version. I could get through like about a minute, and I was like, no, I can't do it. It was the acting just was horrible. It was just like comically bad. I can't. But the story is amazing, and each season you end up with this revelation that's just kind of like, holy fuck, what? And kind of blows up the world even bigger. If you're into things like time travel and how actions affect the timeline and that kind of stuff, you would love this show.
All right.
So I love that one. I can't wait till the third season comes out. And the thing that I love is that the third season is the final season. They have a story like planned out. They anticipated doing 3 seasons. So it's not like they don't know where it's going and just doing things just to keep extending the story out.
So similar to The Good Place, where like they always planned on ending it where they're ending it right now. Because I think the finale comes out in like a week or 2, I think.
I've never watched it, so I don't know.
It's like oh god, it's so good. Watch it. It's friggin' hysterical. Seriously, like, it's so good.
I mean, I guess that's just kind of like my hipster thing coming out where I'm like, I don't know, it's like network TV, so.
Right, no, I get that. I completely understand that. Good Place is worth it.
Okay.
Seriously, it is. Okay. The writing and the comedy are genius.
Okay. Well, I bring that up because I am not generally a fan of shows that seem to go on forever just to see how long they can milk it. Like, I want a defined
story.
Supernatural,
cough.
Right.
Sorry. That's that just kind of slipped out there. Though to their credit, they're finally ending that damn show.
They are. But
I love Supernatural, but y'all should have ended it 10 years ago.
I want you to know where you're going with the story, which kind of touches on a topic we'll get into later with movies, but
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I just want you to have a plan for the story and know where you're going. Honorable mentions: The Expanse, a fantastic sci-fi show. This really past season, I didn't love quite as much as the previous seasons, to be honest, but it was still really good. So that's why it gets an honorable mention. Man in the High Castle, the final season came out.
I hated the ending. Hated it.
I didn't
all
love
that build up for nothing.
Yeah, I didn't love how they ended it, and it definitely felt like they were just trying to wrap things up as quickly as they could.
It felt like they kept cycling through writing teams. Nothing like first season, amazing. Mm-hmm. Second season, good, but nothing to write home about. Third season was where you go, wait, but they're what?
Yeah, and there was definitely like a direction shift, and
yeah, there was. There was a
I thought
noticeable
it was good. Shift. I don't think it was as good as it could have been. And then Handmaid's Tale, which is again, is just an additional season this past year. It's been a good show running. I feel like it's starting to get a little bit convoluted. And I think again, it's starting to suffer under we're trying to extend this out, and I want them to find where they're going and go there.
Well, that's the problem when you try to turn something into a cash cow.
Yeah.
Once you get to the point where you're getting extremely and increasingly convoluted storylines just to draw things out, you've jumped the shark and it's time to end it.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it should be.
I agree.
And and that's why again, I keep coming back to this, but Good Place, they had a plan from the beginning. They knew exactly what they wanted to hit. They knew exactly what story they wanted to tell. They're ending exactly where they want to end it.
Right.
So that is how you should follow the TV show format and formula.
Yeah. Well, and so it's interesting because TV has definitely evolved over the last decade, at least, if not, slightly more, where it's definitely reached a new pinnacle in terms of the medium. People are going to short series and TV shows to tell a more in-depth story. And so,
Netflix
a lot
has really mastered that, honestly.
They have.
The hour-long 10-episode format works really well.
Yeah. And sometimes they push it a little too far and, things will kind of dip in the middle of the season, but it'll pick back up. But overall, they do a really good job of that. And I think that's why you see so many big actors going to different TV series, whether it's on Netflix or HBO or, whatever. that they're more interested in that because a lot of the like meatier stories are happening in TV versus being confined to, an hour and a half to 2 hour movie, or 3 hours if you're Endgame. But
Speaking of movies. Perfect segue. Nailed it.
Every time.
Every single time.
100% experts at segues.
We're so good at podcasting.
Endgame was a movie that happened in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was okay. So I have similar feelings between Endgame and Star Wars Episode 9.
Right.
In that they were trying to tie up a lot of things. They brought together a lot of characters, which, has its own like interesting bits. It creates sort of like emotional feelings and that type of stuff, but it also means there's a lot to juggle. And I feel like they both kind of had their holes where, if you don't dig too deep and you just stay surface level, like it works and it's great and, it's an enjoyable experience.
The moment you start to scratch.
Yeah.
It all unravels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And don't get me wrong, I like Endgame. It's a good movie.
Right.
And it has a lot of emotional points, and it has that scene where everyone is snapped back and then everyone starts congregating.
And all the portals open.
The portals open and the armies are yelling, and it's like it's good.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because I love that scene so much.
I will legitimately, I have the movie on, I have a movie app on my phone, and I will bring that up just to watch that scene.
Yeah.
Because it's that damn good.
Yeah. I mean, the last third of the movie is really the best part of the movie. Basically. But
even then, even that still has issues.
It does.
And this is the problem. When you have too convoluted a storyline and you have multiple writers across multiple different movies, and then you try and tie all of that together, there's gonna be plot holes. There's gonna be inconsistencies. It's unavoidable.
Yeah. I will say though that Marvel did a better job of trying to tie all those things together, partially because they had sort of someone in the director's seat who was trying to guide a lot of that stuff. Yes, there were
Kevin
still
Feige.
Yeah. When you get down into the details, yes, there were some things that were a little clunky, but overall, he kind of kept everything moving and most of the puzzle pieces fit together. So it benefited from that. On another note, with him having an expanded role with Marvel Studios and everything, I'm a little bit concerned with everything continuing to just follow a standard formula and not really taking any risks in that genre.
Yeah, that can get old really quick. The general public, yes, we hung in there for Endgame. We hung through for 11 years for this for the MCU.
Right.
A lot of people are pretty much they feel like their emotional investment has been fulfilled,
right,
and they're moving on.
Yeah.
So Marvel's got to take some chances to stay relevant.
They do.
They have to. They can't just keep following it because people will get bored really quick, because for them, the story ended with Endgame.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So I wanted to touch on that later on when we talk about
the
Phase 4 stuff, because there's one particular thing that's come up recently that gives me concerns. But yes, generally, they need to shake things up a little bit, especially when you look at other films that don't sit strictly within Marvel that have taken those chances, for better or for worse. And people responded well to that. I mean, Logan's technically Marvel, but it's considered a really strong film, regardless of if you're a fan of superhero films or Marvel or whatever.
Logan can stand on its own without calling itself a.
Right. And I think that's important. And I think that's something that Marvel really needs to start pushing for, is don't just be a good superhero movie, be a good movie.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to the Martin Scorsese comment about that he didn't think
He
superhero
doesn't
films were
consider it
good
cinema.
were
Yeah.
cinema. And he has a point in that.
To an extent,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I not to say that I fully agree with him, but he has a point in that, yes, they do follow a formula for the most part. And while that has proven to be successful, does it stand up to being art, which is what
I
most
look
cinema
at it-
is expected to be?
I look at it through the lens, Martin Scorsese is a product of a completely different Hollywood.
He is.
Where, every film was expected to be, this, like, they expected every film to be The Godfather Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not, that's like dating someone who sets such an impossible standard that you're never able to meet it, and then they get mad at you for not meeting it.
Right. No, you
Like,
have to have things that don't require a lot of investment, that
Right.
are, easy, because people need time off. Sometimes, going to like see a movie is an escape, and it's just, I'm going to just go chill. I'm going to go, watch something funny, or, some action movie that doesn't require a lot of thinking.
If I'm depressed or if I'm going through a rough patch, I'm definitely not going to go watch Requiem for,
Oh,
like,
God, no.
Dude, right? I did that once. Bad idea. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. But yeah, like, if I'm feeling down, I want to watch a movie where shit blows up. I don't want to think too hard. I don't want to invest too much. I just want to be entertained for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah, there's value in that.
That's it. Yeah.
There's value in that.
And that's and Scorsese and Scorsese is able to armchair quarterback that because he's such a legend in the film industry.
Right.
Like, who's gonna argue with the guy?
Yeah, he can get away with saying that because of who he is.
Yeah.
But again, not that I totally agree with him, but on some level he has a point that is valid. And Marvel needs to think about that more as they're moving
Marvel
into
needs to start taking chances or bow out. They made their money, and they need to move on to other shit.
So, and to take an example, so one of my honorable mentions for movies for 2019 was Captain Marvel. And the reason why it was an honorable mention was because it still was very much just the standard Marvel formula.
Yep.
I enjoyed the movie. It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't say that it was great. And I think that,
they took no risks.
Yeah, it took no risks, and they were trying to be the Wonder Woman of Marvel, but they
honestly
definitely weren't.
Like, knowing my extreme dislike for DC movies.
Yeah.
I liked Wonder Woman more than I did Captain Marvel.
Same.
Like, that's Marvel, because the issue with Marvel was, number one, they hit it too late.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie that should have come out years ago.
Yep.
Realistically,
with Black Widow, which is coming out
Widow
later
should have
this
been
year.
first in. Yeah, Black Widow should have been first in the barrel on that one.
Yeah.
So they fucked up on that. Number two, they kept balking at the idea of a standalone solo female superhero movie for so long that DC just went, all right, fuck you, we're going to do this.
Right.
And they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Which made Marvel go, oh, shit. Okay, fine. Here you go. And it almost felt spoon-fed.
Yeah.
In a sense. Like, okay, fine. This is what you want. Here you go, you ungrateful shits.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I want to use this. You ungrateful. There we go. Told you I was going to use it. I told you I was going to use it.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is that, Captain Marvel is one of the most, if not the most powerful superhero in the Marvel
She is
universe.
Definitely a Mary Sue.
I mean, yes.
Definitely.
Yes. But they, in a way, they kind of like, they had to scale it back a little bit.
Yeah, she's godlike in the comics.
Yeah, but they also had to make it relative to all the other characters. Same thing with like Scarlet Witch. She's an extremely powerful character, but
she's one of the most powerful ones.
Yeah. So
yeah, they scaled her back a lot.
So I mean I get it, but it could have been better than it was. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't groundbreaking or particularly exciting.
Well, and it kind of suffers for the fact that it was literally like a begrudging, force-fed, like, fine, you assholes, here you go.
Right.
Like, and don't get me wrong, Alison Brie, for her part, she did fantastic.
Brie Larson.
Or Brie
Alison
Larson.
Brie is an
Why did I say
entirely
Alison
different
Brie?
person.
And she's Community. I don't know why. I'm tired. It's been a day.
She would make a really interesting Captain Marvel. I don't know.
Right? I kind of want to see Alison Brie as Captain Marvel now. No. Brie Larson. Well, like, both names kind of sound similar if you reverse
I mean,
them.
I get
think
it.
that's
I
what
get how
fucked
you
me
did
up
it.
in my head. Yeah, but like Brie Larson nailed it. She really did. She was she hit all the right beats. She had the attitude. She had the character in mind. It's not her fault she was hampered by bad writing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she's a fantastic actress. So, yeah, it just everything about it felt forced to me.
Right.
So,
no, I'm with you.
know.
I'm with you. Somewhat related, since we're kind of on a Marvel kick, Spider-Man Far From Home.
I've not seen it yet, so.
Oh, I won't spoil it, but I will say that I liked it in that it showed a world after the events of Endgame. So
I know the plot of it, so like feel free to spoil.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody else either. This isn't a spoiler cast.
Yeah,
but,
fair enough.
But it showed a world, like after the end of Endgame, and kind of the fallout from that a little bit. And I thought that was cool. It set up possibilities, just based on the trailers and everything, set up possibilities for like a multiverse and everything, which was cool.
Right.
And overall, like, I thought it was a pretty decent movie. So, I feel like that gets a mention. I think one of the cool things that happened with the Oscars from 2019 is that Into the Spider-Verse and Black Panther actually got Oscars for different things.
Yeah. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse was so good.
It is really good. And now it's actually part of Disney. So,
yeah.
And they're making a sequel. Now. So, I find that exciting. I hope they don't fuck it up. But,
yeah, I really hope they don't fuck it up.
Because again, I feel that whole like follow the formula thing. Into the Spider-Verse didn't follow the formula.
It did not. And that's what made it stand out.
Exactly.
And I feel like, I feel like they might end up Anchorman 2ing it to where they try so hard to be the first one. They try
too hard,
way too hard, and then just fuck it up.
Yeah.
Anchorman 2 is the only movie in history that I started watching,
right,
and then turned off 30 minutes in.
Jeez.
And immediately threw it in the trash, and I have not seen it since, and I never will.
I honestly, I don't even remember if I watched it. And that's
it's that unmemorable. Like, yeah, it's that terrible.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're veering off again.
Yeah.
We do that a lot in this cast, if you haven't noticed.
Shocker. Also, okay, so I touched on episode 9.
Yeah, let's go ahead and open this can of worms.
Again,
we're gonna get all the Star Wars fanboys attacking us now.
Surface level, it was enjoyable. And it echoed the moments from Endgame where it was like, you had everybody show up at the end. Maybe not like, in the same way, but you still had everybody show up at the end, had a kind of an emotional reaction to that.
I also feel like they tried to hit on like real world current events with a particular, I think we talked about this like a week or two ago with the line where like the first order guy or final order, whatever the fuck they were at the time, like is flabbergasted and just looking in the sky like, where did I didn't know they had this big of a naval fleet. And the guy responds like,
it's just people. Yeah.
Like, I felt like that resonated in a very current events kind of way. Like, come on, motherfuckers.
Yeah. I think one of the things, like, that was great. And it was definitely like had an emotional reaction for me. One of the things that bothered me, and I'm not like going to get, into poking holes through like all of the different story stuff, whatever, because that's its own episode. But one of the things that bothered me is in this new trilogy, they set up the idea of stormtroopers being unwilling participants. And
Yeah,
you
like
know, where
conscripts. Yeah.
they're basically abducted as children and forced into this life, which means that basically any number of these stormtroopers who are out here in these battles could be conflicted about what they're doing. Maybe they didn't take the steps that Finn did to,
For
completely
literally
leave.
decades, the stormtrooper has always been the faceless, like, image of the Empire.
Right.
Like, unquestioning, loyal, and just like your basic faceless baddie.
Right.
So doing this is actually kind of off the beaten path
It
for
is.
Star Wars.
It is.
Now it's opening up a lot of possibilities.
But my problem with they didn't really explore it very much.
No, they did not.
They limited it to a handful of people, and then yet stormtroopers still function as cannon fodder. So
I mean, you got to have cannon fodder. Like you got to show off.
But it's like you can't set up a group of people as being potentially sympathetic and then still killing them off left and right in another scene.
No, I agree.
Just doesn't jive with me. But
I will say though, the one moment in Star Wars, and like I'm a huge fan of the expanded, what Disney now calls Star Wars Legends.
Right.
I'm really still mad about that. All these expanded universe stories that are no longer canon, but one of my all-time favorite. He barely gets any screen time in the original trilogy, but he's a huge player in the books. Is Wedge Antilles. He was he was Red 2 at the Battle of Yavin, when the first Death Star, and he quickly became the leader of Rogue Squadron after Luke Skywalker, left and go on to do Jedi shit.
Right.
And he's such a main character in the books. There was a moment, a lot of people may have missed it in the movie. One of the gunners in the Millennium Falcon was Wedge Antilles. And he says, I think, "Let's fly, Lando." But he was only on screen for a split second.
Yeah, it was pretty brief.
I audibly yelled in the theater, and my daughter and my son were both looking at me like I was crazy and could not figure out why I was so excited. And I'm sitting there like, I don't want to, it's the theater. I don't want to like sitting here having a whispered conversation with them.
Yeah.
So we get out of the theater and they're like, "Why'd you yell?" And I just launched into the explanation I gave you, and they stared at me like I was insane, even more. Like, you haven't put in the years of emotional investment into this that I have, motherfuckers.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
That was a big thing for me.
I think that was kind of the common theme with Episode 9 or Rise of Skywalker is
just bring back everyone.
Yeah, is bring back everyone and a lot of fan service. A lot of fan service.
It was.
And
let's get real here.
Yeah, I mean,
down to Luke Skywalker raising the X-wing out of the fucking water like he couldn't do an Empire.
Right. Well, and I don't want to get too deep into this because we got other stuff to cover, but
yeah,
the stuff like that kind of bothers me. Yes, again, surface level, it was fun. As a longtime fan, I appreciated it, but when you think about it, when you break it down into like, story and like, do things make sense within its own world and that type of stuff, and things being able to kind of exist on their own, even if we don't say the movie has to stand alone, as just Episode 9, and you wouldn't ever have to be familiar with anything else, but even just the trilogy, the things like that, there's no reference anywhere else in that trilogy that would make sense to anyone except for the people who are familiar with the original trilogy. And I don't like that stuff. Like, it's fun for me, but I don't like it when, and I have the same problem with like game studios when they announce sequels to existing franchises and stuff, where just like it just assumes everyone knows everything and they don't have to set up the background for that. Like, no, that's not how this works.
we had this conversation too, I think, about, not liking companies who like they'll come out like Kingdom Hearts. I think was
Uh-huh.
the exact topic for that. Was, they come out with Kingdom Hearts and then, Kingdom Hearts 2, but in between those two there were like two games released on the Game Boy
Uh-huh.
that you had to have, and then there were games over here, and then there was a thing over here, and like your whole thing was, put all the lore that helps make the story make sense in the main thing.
Yeah.
Don't create offshoots that now become essentially required reading so you can understand what's going on in the main thing.
Yes. I should
Yeah,
not have to refer to other media to understand what's going on here. Like,
I
period.
think they do that because like it evokes a certain sense of, ooh, I'm in the know kind of thing, where like, oh yeah, well I'm a good fan because I consumed all this media. Like, I get the mentality behind it. I
Yeah.
don't agree with it. I'm
I
with
mean,
you.
I get it if it's something minor and it's like a little wink to the fans who, they know all the backstory and whatever, but it needs to be minor. And I think
Yeah, like
that's the
major
difference.
points need to be self-contained within the main series itself. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, off my
So,
soapbox. Last movie that I had on my list was Us. I think that Jordan Peele is a really great
he's so
storyteller,
good. He's a
and
master storyteller.
uh, I appreciate that he takes risks and doesn't necessarily do things according to, again, like
Yeah.
what's prescribed as successful, with certain formulas, whatever. Like, he does things that are different. And so I really liked Us. Um, Not everyone was super on board, partially, I'm sure, because the story was not necessarily like, it required a little bit of thinking. And not everybody likes that, which is fine, but I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Jordan Peele's movies make me want to befriend him and teach him how to play Dungeons and Dragons so I can play a game DM'd by him in a story in a world he creates.
That would be
Like,
amazing.
it was so good. Like, I would literally be in heaven.
That would be amazing. Oh, that
That
just
would
reminds me, talking about D&D. So the show that I would add to my list, since you had Critical Role, Relics and Rarities.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yes, 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 yes.
it
I
was
love Relics and Rarities. It's
so
so good.
good.
So good.
And I hope they do another season of that. I know that things have changed with like Geek and Sundry and whatever.
Yeah,
So
Geek and Sundry have scaled back their content a lot.
yeah, between them and then Nerdist too. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
And we
Um,
lost College Humor last week.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's been a bad few weeks for digital entertainment.
yeah. So I'm hopeful that maybe like someone will still decide to do it in some form or fashion. Maybe it won't, exist on I
Hell,
mean,
my
obviously
other
it's not going to be like a Project Alpha thing anymore, but
yeah.
maybe someone will still want to do it and help produce it, but man, it was such a good show.
Hell, we lost Dimension 20 when we lost College Humor. I'm still mad about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they bring it back. Hopefully College Humor finds its feet and they're able to get back to shit. I'm hoping,
Yeah.
but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. So anyway, I
So,
just want to throw that one in. So your movies.
real quick, because like my movies, like again, as I've reiterated already, it's not about how good they are or war or anything. It's how they've impacted me. I only have two movies on my list, none of which you'll find on any like top movies of 2019 lists. The first one, obviously, John Wick 3. Um, just because I I wish I could have a torrid love affair with Keanu Reeves.
Oh my
Um,
God.
dude,
Yes.
yeah. hmm
I support it.
I'm breathlessly awaiting both Matrix 4 and the new Bill and Ted.
Breathlessly.
Um, breathlessly. Um, um, but yeah, like it was the first movie in 2019 that I was able to sit down and watch with my wife, like all the way through in the theater.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really, really good. Set up for branch universes. It set up, like I want to see a Netflix format style show solely centered around the Continental.
Yes. Like, I am so much more interested in that than anything else in that movie series.
I want to know so much about the lore of this underworld.
Yes.
I want to know the lore about all of it. Give me all of the lore.
Like,
please.
I think if anything disappoints me in the John Wick films is that so much is like paid attention to him and whatever. And I'm like, but what about all this other cool shit that's like there?
Yeah. Yes. Like, if anyone, like, on the off chance that anyone from any production company or Netflix is watching, please, for the love of all that is holy, give this to us, please. I'm begging you. I would watch 10 seasons of that.
I would bet money
Easy.
that would be extraordinarily popular.
Oh yeah, 100%. People have been screaming for more lore on the John Wick universe.
Yes. Yeah. Dude, I need that.
Yeah. I want and I need it, and just inject it directly into my veins, please.
Also, you know, they're like coming out with the new Matrix movie, and then there's the John Wick 4, and aren't they supposed to like come out the same day?
They're both coming out on the same day. Yes, I think it might be Bill and Ted and John Wick 4, actually, coming out on the same day.
All I know is that the winner of that weekend is Keanu Reeves and us.
Oh yeah,
but
dude.
You know,
no, Keanu Reeves will forever be like, he has achieved Tom Hanks' level of sainthood.
I just wonder if it's like going to end up as a game of chicken, and eventually somebody's going to give in and move their date.
No, they won't. No, they're both coming out same day. I want this. I will buy tickets to both movies same day.
Can we get more Keanu Reeves films to release on the same day? And so, like, in the movie theater, it's just like every flavor of Keanu Reeves in every, like, you just walk down and it's like, oh, well, that has Keanu Reeves. I
want to sit in a theater from like on this release day where these two movies come out. I want to sit all day in a theater, like start with Point Break and go to like Speed, and then go to The Matrix, and then, like, just keep going down the line, and we end with those two movies.
Right.
Like, that's what I want to see. But
I dig it.
So yeah. So that's one, for obvious reasons. The second one, I put this on the list because I expected it to be stupid and ridiculous, and like kind of along the same things. Like when I first picked up the first Kingdom Hearts game, when I saw like Final Fantasy and Disney, there's no way this is going to be good. And then I binged it for 16 hours. Detective Pikachu. I'm not kidding. My kids wanted to see this movie, and I begrudgingly bought it for them, and I brought it home, and they're all excited. My wife and I sit down to watch it with them, and immediately in the first 10 minutes I'm hooked. And I'm like, "Oh, this is really good."
What?
Yeah, so it's surprisingly heart-wrenching and endearing, and it actually has a really good plot and just the right amount of twists and turns.
Okay.
That plus Ryan Reynolds. Come on.
I feel like the only part of it that would be interesting to me is Ryan Reynolds, but I just the
movie,
whole thing
if you
just
were to
seems
replace,
so ridiculous.
I truly feel that if you were to replace Pikachu with any other actor, it would still stand on its own.
Okay.
I firmly believe that.
Okay.
Just all we are saying is give Pikachu a chance.
All right. Let's talk about the other top news from 2019. I mean, there's probably some other stuff, but I have bad memories, so.
Well, this is what we chose to be like the most interesting of the announcements.
Right.
Like the big highlights of 2019.
First up, there's a Hellblade sequel coming out, and I'm super hyped for it. If you never played the first Hellblade game, you should do it. It's fantastic.
You play a character that carries the severed head of her freaking fiance on her belt. Like, what's not to love?
Right. Well, and also the sound design is so fantastic. Definitely is a game that you need to play with headphones. And the fact that it focuses on a character that I believe she's supposed to have schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that delves into mental health is already piquing my interest when it comes to games, because that's not a super common thing. And I never expected for there to be any kind of sequel to the first game. I
mean, it stands alone. It works well as a standalone game.
It does. And so when this came along with the announcement of the Xbox Series X, I literally my jaw dropped when they showed this trailer for the sequel, because again, was not expecting any sequels to that game, and also just looked really freaking good.
Oh, dude, like the goth kid in me was just insanely happy.
Right?
Like that's. I took one look at it and went, "Ooh, yes, please.
Yes.
You look like the clearance rack at a good Hot Topic."
Yeah. So, I mean, clearly, her condition has progressed from where we left off in the first game.
Clearly.
So that's of interest on its own. But just because the first game was so good, like I don't need to see any more trailers or anything. I will play it.
Like it's Ninja Theory definitely earned enough credit just with the first one that everyone who played the first one will definitely give the second one a chance.
Yeah. And I didn't realize when Microsoft was announcing all the studios that they had purchased that that Ninja Theory was one of them, and did not make the connection that they had made that game. So the fact that it's a Microsoft owned studio putting out this quality of game now, that's pretty freaking impressive. Good job, Microsoft.
For a company that has refused to push barriers and experiment for a long time, damn impressive. Yeah.
So definitely kudos to them for picking them up, because that was a smart ass move. But I'm so excited for this game. Again, so surprised that they even were making a sequel.
Hopefully it doesn't suck.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the possibility, right? Especially when the first thing of anything was so good. Trying to recreate the magic is difficult, but I'm excited. So touching on the whole Xbox Series X thing, we actually got announcements about that and a PlayStation 5, which wasn't even really an announcement. It was just kind of like there was a game trailer that showed PS5 on the underneath the logo, and you're like, oh, so that was like a very subtle acknowledgement that we're getting a new PlayStation console. Okay.
I guess.
Which at CES this week, they unveiled the logo, which just looks like the same as all of the other logos besides the PS2 logo. And I was just like, that didn't really deserve a special reveal. So no. I don't know why people are making a big deal about it, but
I'm still trying to reconcile the fact that, because my age is creeping up and showing on me now. Like, I still, like, in my brain, like 2010 was just a couple of years ago, and we just got the PS4. And my first thought when I see articles like this is, what, we just got PS4. Why are we already going to next gen? And then I realized that this console's been out for 6 years.
6 years, I think. 5 or 6, something like that.
5 or 6 years. I remember buying one as soon as I got back from Germany, and I got home from Germany in 2013.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, fuck.
I know. I
hate getting old. I hate it.
Yeah, it does suck.
I hate it. So yeah, it's there's a lot of good games coming out. I'm really stoked for Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. There's a lot of sequel type things, definitely, like extending franchises.
Not too excited about Resident Evil 3, Doom Eternal.
I'm excited for Doom Eternal just because I really liked the most recent Doom. I don't know why, because it's not the typical game that I would play. I think it's just not. I think it's just like the music and the fact that like you can just do like maximum carnage and not really feel bad because they're demons. So I don't know. I just really like Doom. So I'm interested in Doom Eternal. Cyberpunk, I mean, obviously anybody who knows me well enough knows that that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100% getting that game.
So like I'm gonna be so just like knee deep in that shit.
And I wish we had Mitsu on just for this one part for Half-Life VR.
Right? The fact that they announced it and it wasn't even like a true Half-Life 3. It was just like, no, it's just this other thing that's a VR game that's Half-Life related.
It's completely opposite of what you guys wanted, but here, fuck you. I want to hear him rant. I want to hear him rant and rage for just. It would be amazing.
I know.
We gotta get him on here.
I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff, but I mean, obviously, Cyberpunk is kind of the big one for the year. Just kind of like, I feel like Death Stranding and Borderlands were probably the big ones for 2019 that everyone was like, maybe like Fallen Order.
And I love how this article's still trying to play up the Google Stadia. It's an early indication that cloud gaming may be a key battleground for industry. Yeah, no, let's.
I will agree though that like cloud gaming it's still something that
it is, but let's not use Google Stadia as an example here, please.
No, I wouldn't use it as a reference point whatsoever.
No, this is the Google Plus of gaming.
But kind of on that note, Xbox and PlayStation, I think it was last year, announced that they were teaming up related to developing like a cloud gaming platform for PlayStation, and that Microsoft was doing like the infrastructure for it. And when you think about it, Sony could have gone to, because the three big players really, when you talk like cloud computing, are Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. Well, Google and Amazon are trying to develop their own cloud gaming platforms. So, basically Sony's choice was, well, we can go to the company that we've already been dealing with for years, or we can go to these, somewhat unknown entities as it relates to gaming. I mean, they're known entities in terms of companies, but
yeah, but like when it comes to gaming, there's a reason the companies that are still in play now are still in play.
Right. So it's almost like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a situation.
Yeah, kind of. A little bit, yeah.
So I just thought it was kind of cool that they ended up working together. Will that have ripple effects as it relates to like, crossplay and, whatever?
Give me crossplay on everything. Give me fucking crossplay.
Right. Well, the thing is, there are some games now that do support it.
Not the games I play.
No, me neither. Me neither. But the fact that they exist means that, like we could eventually get there. I don't know how long it's going to take because it's already taken way too fucking long, but
we'll have to see.
Yeah. So
I think at least with the next gen consoles, it's still too early to tell. We can't get hands on it. So
right. Yeah. And I think too, it's important to point out. So Xbox has been the only one that has really like shared any details about the new console. We've just seen references about PS5 with logos and that there's a game that's going to be launching on it. But PlayStation hasn't actually shared anything. There's been like stuff here and there about controllers with like haptic feedback, which may or may not be cool.
Gimmicky.
Yeah, that's kind of my gut reaction on it too. They're saying things like they're going to introduce new things that people haven't seen before and whatever. I don't know. Xbox, on the other hand, they're like, yeah, we're releasing a new console, but by the way, you can also use our game service and play this stuff on PC if you want to. You can play things using the Xbox Ultimate, whatever Game Pass, play it day of release without buying the full game. Like they're doing things beyond just like, here's a new console, here's new games. we
Mhm.
added these new features and just kind of like they're really exploring other avenues, which I think is smart. And um the fact that they're really pushing into kind of like it doesn't really matter where you play. You've got Xbox Live on the Switch. So for people
Yeah.
who are playing like Minecraft, that, you know, their stats and everything are carrying over between platforms. Like they're really embracing the fact that people are going to play wherever they're going to play. So rather than trying to force people onto a console that not necessarily everyone's going to want, like let's just go where people are and offer them some features that are going to add to quality of life and just get them playing games no matter where it's going to be. Like I respect that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we talked about Cyberpunk a little bit, but freaking Cyberpunk, we got a release date, but also the fact that Keanu Reeves showed up at E3. I'm still just blown away by the fact that he was at E3 on stage telling people they're breathtaking, and the fact that he's just in a freaking video game. Like I don't know, it's Keanu Reeves. Like it's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, do we really need another reason?
I know. I mean, I think we've already established that. Maybe in the movie theater, there'll be another room where they just got a bunch of PCs set up where everybody's just playing Cyberpunk so that they can interact with Keanu Reeves and then go see Keanu
everyone
Reeves
in the world
movie.
playing Cyberpunk simultaneously.
Yeah, it's going to be fine.
That is as close to the Matrix as we will get right now.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I appreciate in the news that's come out about Cyberpunk, well, actually multiple, but one is that it for the most part is supposed to follow like a fairly linear storyline, which was one of my concerns, you know, when we were talking about Witcher 3, was like how things were kind of all over the place. And was hard for me to follow. Based on some commentary from CD Projekt Red, it sounds like maybe Cyberpunk will feel a little bit more contained in a way. So that's a positive to me. And also that you can romance NPCs like basically from the get, which is awesome. So the statement that they made was it's not necessarily something that you have to unlock at some point. If you interact with a certain character in a certain way that they would be interested in you, then you can already just go ahead and go down that romance path and like disregard all the other stuff. And it's not limited by gender or whatever. So you can sex everybody is pretty much what I took away from that. So yeah.
I mean, sold already. Right? Like that just seals the deal. I don't know. Cyberpunk is not exactly the kind of game I normally play, but like I'm definitely probably gonna dive headfirst into it.
I mean, I'm into just the cyberpunk genre in general, so that already is of interest to me.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because of my writing or the story I'm creating, but like steampunk has definitely been more of an influence on me rather than cyberpunk.
Right.
I just love the aesthetic of it.
I like them both. So
that's fair.
What else? We can celebrate the fact that the Game of Thrones showrunners are no longer doing a Star Wars trilogy.
And I love that this article tries to paint it as, oh, we've got so much going on that we just can't devote our time to it. It's fucking Star Wars. If you wanted to do it, you'd do it.
Well, yeah. But that was that was their official statement, was just, you know, oh, well, you know, just our schedules, whatever, with stuff they were doing for Netflix. And maybe the things they were doing with Netflix was paying them more, you know, I don't know. But it does seem very like kind of
it
PR
happened
managed.
Right on the it happened right on the heels of the reveal that these showrunners had no idea what the fuck they were doing with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And that they intentionally and willfully butchered it.
Yeah. And then
So
like the person at Disney was like, "Oh, well, they're talented and we hope we find an opportunity to work together with them in the future and whatever." And it's all, just very like
it's fluff.
It is. And I just, whatever bullshit reasoning they want to give and try to make like everything's okay, I'm just glad they're not doing it anymore.
Same. Fucking same. Like, there's no way, no one will be able to convince me that they were not removed from it because of that interview.
Yeah.
No one can convince me otherwise.
I am still amazed that they even said that shit, honestly. Why would you admit to that?
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? They got away with it. Like, they fucking laughed all the way to the bank. Show was done.
I mean, yes, they did in the context of that show, but like, you don't have to tell other people. You would have gotten away with it much better if you never admitted to any of it. They probably wouldn't have gotten cut from the Star Wars stuff.
I don't know.
I mean, not that I'm disappointed, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad they said something.
The kind of related to Star Wars trilogies. So Rian Johnson was supposed to also have his own trilogy, and there hasn't really been any news if that's still going to happen or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of hope that it does.
Even Kevin Feige is like wanting to do a Star Wars movie now.
Yeah, he's supposed to have a Star Wars movie now, and I'm like, no, please.
I don't give a shit about the movies anymore. I just want The Mandalorian, and I want Ewan McGregor to come back in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
So, okay, so I said I was going to say something about Mandalorian. And that Mandalorian was enjoyable. I thought it was very safe.
Oh yeah, 100%. But
I think that it didn't really get super, like the first episode was interesting, and then probably the last couple of episodes were like really what were like, this is interesting and I want to know what happens. Everything in between
few episodes felt like they felt like Monster of the Week episodes, and I get that.
Yeah. And it drove me nuts because everybody's like losing their mind over the show and how amazing it is and whatever. And I was I like, I
like it. Like it's. I'm not gonna like sit here and scream about it and sing its praises. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I want to see more.
Right.
Mostly because I really, really hope that Disney noticed the fan reaction to Taika Waititi directing the finale.
Right.
Use him more, Disney.
Yes, seriously.
More.
And give him creative freedom.
The first 5 minutes of that final episode, I laughed so hard. I had to pause because it had such like big dick red versus blue energy.
Right? That's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching it.
It was a freaking episode of Red versus Blue for like 5 minutes.
And the thing was, like,
my ass off.
It was not a thing that I knew that I wanted, but once I watched it, I was like, why has this not been a thing in Star Wars? It's
because Star Wars tries too hard to be serious. It's a space opera. They want drama. They want seriousness. No, fuck that. Break it up and make us laugh.
Yeah.
It would endear so many more people to the universe if they did that.
Yeah.
And Taika Waititi saw that, understood it, and put it in there.
Yeah. I mean, there were like little bits of humor in this most recent trilogy, but it definitely was not the focus.
Yeah, it wasn't Taika Waititi level. Like,
right.
We have come to love and trust him because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in the writer's room for The Mandalorian the first day that he walked in.
Right.
And just went, we're doing this.
Yes.
Like, seriously, Disney, do more of that. Put him in charge.
Yeah. It was so good.
So amazing.
So we touched on Marvel earlier, but we did get the Phase 4 timeline back during San Diego Comic-Con. There's a lot of shit, which surprises no one.
There's a lot of safe shit here.
So Black Widow, we know, is coming out in a few months.
Yeah.
Which again should have happened a long time ago.
Should have happened fucking at least 5-6 years ago. At least.
Yeah.
Like, happy we're getting it now. I'm taking my wife to see it on release day, but
right.
God damn it, Marvel.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. The Eternals is supposed to come out in November. My gut says that this date is going to change because
I have no interest in it.
I'm not like particularly jazzed about it, but they are still like even up through the last few weeks making announcements about casting. And I'm like, how are you still casting this film? Like, if it's coming out in November, you should be wrapping up filming at this point.
You should be wrapping and going to post right about now.
Yeah. So that does not bode well to me.
Nope. No, it does not.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
We're finally getting the real Mandarin. Dude, Iron Man 3 will still be the worst film in the MCU for that exact reason.
I think that's like the general consensus.
Yeah, none of us, like, no offense to Robert Downey Jr. You're beautiful. You're an icon. We love you. We know it wasn't you.
Yeah, that was not his fault.
Fuck that movie. Fuck that movie.
Seriously. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool that, at least we're touching on that. Finally, it doesn't come out until next year. At least that's the projected date. The one that I wanted to talk about, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So talking about Marvel breaking from the formula. So this one was talked about as being more of a horror film.
Yeah, he wanted Scott Derrickson, I believe, is the director. And he wanted to take it in a direction of he wanted a like horror genre movie.
Right.
Like he wanted to scare the shit out of audience.
Right.
Because that's what the Multiverse of Madness is.
Yes.
It would have fit perfectly and it would have been amazing.
Yes.
And once again, Marvel is staying on formula, didn't want to do it. So he went, fine, fuck you, and walked.
Yeah. So and what's funny is like he was doing an interview and was like talking about the fact that it's going to be more horror. And then Kevin Feige, or however you say your name, is like, well, not so much. It's not really going to be like very scary. There might be a few moments, like totally trying to walk it back. And then all of a sudden, like he's not doing the movie anymore.
He walks. Yeah. Like I had high hopes for the new Doctor Strange. Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty iffy on that one. So
yeah, which sucks because I liked the first one. I did too as Stephen Strange. I think he does fantastic in the and I want to see him stand out more, and I want to see him get his own shit. And now I feel like whoever they're gonna pick, they're gonna bomb.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I hope they take the feedback that people have been giving about that and reconsider. Maybe it won't be as far into horror as original, but they shouldn't lean too far away from it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3. The positive news is that Marvel and Sony figured their shit out again, and
as we all knew they would. I feel like the more time passes and the more I look at it, it felt like a publicity stunt.
Like it was orchestrated.
Yeah, like both Disney and Sony know that they had a good thing,
right?
Like, and no amount of haggling would have impacted that. Like, Sony doesn't want to lose out on the $1 billion cash cow, and Disney wants to be able to put Spider-Man in their movies.
Yep.
So, to me, it felt like a forced PR scandal.
Yeah.
To kind of gauge like where the fans are at.
Yeah. Which was pretty much just like, fuck you, Sony, but
well, it shifted from fuck you, Sony to fuck you, Disney.
Well, yes, like, also that.
And like part of it came out like, oh well, Disney asked for too much, and Sony like both of them were painted as the bad guys at various points. Which, again, kind of lends credence to the whole this was staged theory.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess we'll never know.
I'm
looking forward to it though. Like I think Tom Holland is the most solid Peter Parker.
He's so great.
And Spider-Man. Like, and we've had this conversation before, I think. Like,
yes.
Tobey Maguire, great Peter Parker, shit Spider-Man.
Yep.
Andrew
Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. I'm shit with names tonight.
Okay.
Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man, shit Peter Parker.
Yep.
And Tom Holland kind of nails both. And he's the actual right age.
Right. Also that.
Also that.
And also, he does a fantastic job lip syncing to Rihanna. So, like,
oh god, I still
every
look that
time
up
I
on
see that
YouTube
video, I have to watch it. It's so good.
that is my favorite lip sync battle of all time. That and Clark Gregg, actually, Agent Coulson.
I don't remember if I saw that one.
Look his up; it's so good.
Oh my god! But yeah, every time I see that freaking Tom Holland video, I have to watch it again, no matter how many times I've seen it.
Agreed.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Where speaking of Taika Waititi, he's coming back,
which is exciting. Because Thor Ragnarok was so good,
and I guess Natalie Portman finally settled her differences and her shit with Marvel/Disney because she's gonna be Thor,
right? Which is also cool. And then I want to see what happens with Valkyrie in this.
Is she in the cast list?
I don't know. I feel like she was.
I'd have to look again. My big question is, where is Mjolnir going to come from?
Right.
In the current timeline, it's destroyed.
Right.
Like, Cap took it back and put it back where it was supposed to be.
Presumably.
So, like, is someone just going to go out to the cliffs where Hela destroyed it and reforge it?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, but to be fair, Taika Waititi's helming it. I have no worries. Yeah. I know it will be good, and it looks like just from the titling alone, like from the typeset,
it looks very He-Man to me.
It looks very He-Man, very 80s. Like this would not look out of place, spray painted on the side of a van, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I'm so on board for that.
I hope they spray paint some vans with this for like the marketing.
Dude, they should. And then like Natalie Portman's Thor like riding a bear into battle with like Mjolnir raised up and like 3 moons in the back. Yeah, like let's turn this into a fucking thing.
Hello, Marvel. Like
they should hire us for their marketing team. Seriously. We'd make them so much money.
We got you. We touched on the Into the Spider-Verse sequel, so again, cool that they're doing it.
Don't
iffy on, you know, if it's going to be as good, but that's not until 2022, which is such a weird number to say.
Yeah, I'm still trying to reconcile that we're in 2020 right now.
I know. Black Panther 2 in the same year, which the first was fantastic. Again, can you like kind of do a redo of what was so good in the first one? I don't know. It's still going to have Ryan Coogler, so that's positive.
Like, we cannot stress this enough, Marvel. Take some goddamn risks or you're going to lose it.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so there's supposed to be eventually an Ant-Man 3 further out. And then the fact that they tease that they're revisiting Blade.
I'm so on board with this.
Oh my, like again, jaw hit the floor. I was like, what? Literally yelled out when I saw this. And they're planning to have Mahershala Ali play Blade, which I think he is perfect for that role. Especially after seeing him in Luke Cage. He was really good.
The villain in first season. Yes.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic choice, and I kind of, now that he's like, because this particular actor is now officially like in the MCU. I want to see Ryan Reynolds do a cameo in this movie, even if it's not as Deadpool, because if you think back far enough, listeners, Ryan Reynolds was in.
He was in Blade Trinity.
Trinity, yeah. He was in Blade Trinity.
But it wasn't Deadpool, but they told him to play the character like modeled after Deadpool.
Yes. They told him to play modeled after Wade Wilson.
Wade Wilson, yes, but
we'll say that. And we will not mention the movie that must not be named ever again. Let it die.
And the fact that the freaking one of the Game of Thrones guys wrote that movie, just
the signs were there. The signs were fucking there.
We didn't pick up on it, and I'm still mad about it. But Blade movie,
they kept falling up. Yeah.
Also,
That's all I
Guardians of
got.
the Galaxy 3, they brought James Gunn back. So,
As is right.
Right. Also, I feel like because of that whole thing, obviously they impacted the timeline for when
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was going to come out.
It
So
was supposed to be out next year, I think.
So I'm interested to see how that plays into the whole Phase 4 thing, because we know that, even though they're standalone movies, they still kind of relate to each other. And we know that Thor took off with the Guardians at the end of Endgame. So, what's that going to mean for those two different movies? Maybe we'll get Guardians in Love and Thunder. I don't know.
As Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. So that's the big Phase 4 stuff that got announced. And then finally, coming up to things that were announced this year, actually.
We're up to present day now.
Right. It's amazing. So CES has been going on this past week as the time of this recording. And obviously they announced a ton of shit. But there were a few things that stood out. This article, I feel like, pulls out quite a few that are noteworthy. Sony announced a prototype car, which is like, what the fuck? Why is Sony getting into cars? But here we are.
Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
And the thing that kind of irks me about this announcement is that they're talking about all the features and they're like, oh, it's so groundbreaking and innovative, whatever. A lot of the features on this car are already on the Tesla. So like, it's literally a thing that's already in production and out on the road.
So essentially, Sony is Apple in this particular situation, is what you're telling me.
Maybe. I don't know if they're going to improve upon it in any way, but
probably not.
But
they're gonna take 5-year-old features and go, look at this new thing.
Right. So there's that.
We had this 5 years ago.
The Alienware concept UFO, I think, is cool. So
I'm gonna call this the slightly worse Switch.
Right. I mean, it definitely is taking some points from the Switch with
but it's Alienware, so it's gonna suck.
Well, who knows?
I've never, like, full disclosure, personal story. I hate Alienware. Never been a fan. I've had 3 computers now from them. One of them was given to us. All of them broke within 2 years.
I haven't owned one, but I've known people who own them and have had issues.
They're overpriced.
So...
They're overpriced. And they're not that great. Build your own.
It definitely, kind of copies some of the stuff with the Switch where, you've got the main screen, you've got the detachable controllers. What I think is interesting about it, though, is that you can play PC games on it. So it introduces the idea of basically taking PC games mobile. And so Steam has already started exploring this. They have an Android app where you can play some of your PC games or your Steam games specifically through that. You can cast it to a TV and stuff. But this is actual hardware designed for that purpose.
I feel like at this point the business model is shifting toward people definitely, and like the massive rise in mobile gaming is a clear indication of this. Is people want to be tied to a TV when they play, like,
or just tied to anything at a specific location, really.
Yeah, agreed. And it's this whole thing of like they want to be able to play anywhere at any time, and I get that. I understand that.
Right.
But you're gonna have to make some sacrifices if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I agree.
You're not gonna get the grand, sweeping, epic storytelling games on a platform like this. I could be wrong. Prove me wrong, please, industry. Prove me wrong. But that's how I'm seeing it. People are, and they've shown it time and again with mobile gaming. They will always go for the low hanging fruit because that's what makes the most money.
Maybe
it's all a numbers game.
I will say though that there have been mobile games that have been really good. Would they translate as well on like a PC or on a big screen or whatever? Probably not. Um, but then I think it just depends on like the type and genre of game. If you take, for example, Gris, which was a PC game when it released at the end of 2018.
Yeah.
And it was a really good game. I would say one of my all-time favorites. And they've now released it on the Switch. And based on the type of game that it was, I see it totally working there just fine. It doesn't need to be strictly a PC game. Probably because it's more of a platformer. And you know, like the art style and everything it's not super detailed. So I think it fits there, but
art doesn't have to be super detailed for it to be a great game. Like
right.
That's always been one of my mantras.
Right. But why I mention that is it's easily translated from a big screen to a small screen because there aren't things that are hard to make out because it's on a smaller screen.
Oh, like I said, like I'm a cynic. The way I see it happening is there's gonna be a massive drive for a whole lot of content once like gaming platforms like this become second nature.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to become quantity over quality, and publishers and developers are going to go after the low hanging fruit. They're going to create what gets the most clicks with the least amount of effort.
I would say that's been happening already when it comes to mobile.
Yeah, and that's part of like what informs that decision on my part is we're already seeing it happening. So
yeah,
why wouldn't we see that carryover?
That's true. I think regardless of platform,
it is.
You know, you see things that like really are kind of a cash grab in some ways. But there are still some diamonds within that, and you have to do a lot of filtering to find them.
Yeah, fair enough. This next thing on the list, though, this next thing right here,
this is crazy. So
no, this encompasses and represents everything I fucking hate about CES. Completely.
So Mercedes announced what they call the Vision. I don't know if they call it AVTR or they actually say Avatar.
I'm sure they just say Avatar because it's inspired by the 2009 film.
Inspired by Avatar. And they actually had James Cameron on stage to present it. It's definitely like a very futuristic concept.
It's so stupid
looking thing.
It's so fucking stupid.
I don't want to say invisible, but there's like clear doors that open up on the sides, which would freak me the fuck out if I was driving around. I don't though I know there was something there, I want to be able to see that there's something there between me and everything else.
I drove Humvees without doors attached in the Army for so long.
Yeah.
That wouldn't even faze me.
Maybe honestly. Not, but for me that I can't.
Yeah, I understand that.
So the weird stuff about this, weird, I don't know, maybe weird isn't the right word, but
stupid. Let's call it like it is. All right.
So there's no steering wheel in this car. And
there's a console that connects you.
Right. It connects you. So
what am I jacking into the fucking Matrix here?
And
what the fuck is
where
going
it's
on?
like obviously, you know, the whole Avatar inspiration thing. So there's like a little console in the center that you put your hand on to control the car. And it lights up. It can detect your heartbeat and your breathing pattern to identify who's driving the car. Apparently, this center console was supposed to pay homage to the Tree of Souls in Avatar. So, like, you know, they touch the roots of the tree to like connect to everything. It will also through vital signals adjust lighting in the car. The seats are supposed to vibrate to convey information. Like there's just so much going on.
Okay, this is nothing more than a dick size measuring competition.
It's just like, let us show you the future. Well, so then
Let
the
us show you this
weirdest,
fantastical, unobtainable thing because I want to fucking show off.
right? So the one of the things that's like craziest to me about this is, so you got the center console where you're controlling the car from, and then if you lift up your hand, the car will project menu options onto your palm. Exactly how would that work?
It wouldn't. It's gonna increase. Like, you think texting and driving causes wrecks, bitches? Oh wait.
Right. I'm just like, okay.
Let's distract our driver as much as is humanly possible. Like, just really, really get in there and fucking grind it in.
Oh, I don't know. Supposedly the battery is compostable and recyclable.
Mm-hmm.
And
Tesla don't have that tech yet. It don't exist.
Right. It will have solar panels on it. Okay. I mean, the Cybertruck has solar panels, so there's that.
I really feel like this car is just and I hesitate to even call it a car. It is the embodiment of like the upper class sneer to like the working class. Like, oh, we'll be driving in this, peasants. Like, really?
I don't view it as that. I view it more
Mercedes.
as like someone goes, if I could like paint the vision of the future, based on like science fiction and all this other stuff, like what would the future look like? Like completely just pie in the sky.
Jetsons.
What could we do?
I want Jetsons.
Right. I mean, that's
like
fine.
Just a giant fucking bubble with a little flying saucer. That's what I want. And just two levers and no discernible buttons or any gauges or anything. That's how I pilot it. That's what I want.
I mean, I'd even be okay with like the vehicles in the Fifth Element.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, it just feels like somebody's just like, what's the coolest car that we can make for the future?
It's I'm sorry. I will never see it as anything dick measuring. All I see.
It's different. I'll give them that.
Well, let's move on to something a little more realistic and obtainable.
Right. So the TCL 10 Pro is a new Android smartphone that will come out supposedly sometime this year. That's supposed to cost less than $500, which that in itself is remarkable given so many smartphones cost about $1,000 on their own.
This one was $1,200 on its own.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking money.
And this isn't even the high end like freaking Galaxy 10.
Right.
This is the cheap one.
Yeah.
With
so
the non-beveled screen.
$500 smartphone that is supposed to have a curved AMOLED screen, 4 cameras, an in-screen fingerprint sensor, which is like, that's crazy. Yeah. Like, okay. And it's supposed to launch in the US and Canada in the second quarter of this year. I mean, look, just the fact that it's not a bare bones phone and it's supposed to cost less than $500 is like, that's a technical marvel. So
honestly, that kind of suggests to me that they cracked the battery issue.
Potentially.
That's one of the reasons. Well, that's one of the reasons why phones have been so expensive in recent years, because battery technology hasn't evolved since the 80s.
Right.
We're still using the same damn batteries, just
with all the focus on like electric vehicles and whatever, like clearly developing battery technology is a thing.
Finally making some headway.
Talking about batteries, I was reading something the other day about a battery that it was kind of like organic in a way. It was clear and it could produce energy, and you could like literally cut it in half with scissors and it would still work. And it could, if I remember right, like it could produce more energy than like standard batteries now. And I think I want to say it was like some kind of lithium based technology, but it was pretty crazy. And if that turned into a thing, like, because it's this flexible material, wearable technology, like true wearables, not just, you have a hard watch face with a strap or whatever, but things that like could actually bend and move and whatever would
Yeah.
actually be possible with batteries like that.
Well, I know one of the big contenders for like a next gen battery, one made out of graphene, which is like this, like basically like an aerogel kind of like super lightweight, flexible kind of material. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. It
That's
was really
definitely.
cool. All
I
right.
would love to see just like I would love to see a cell phone, like you
Yeah.
remember those slap bracelets from when we were kids?
Yeah, I seriously, when they started talking about like
Yeah,
smartwatches and stuff, I thought that
just
was
like
what we were gonna
just like
get.
slap it on my wrist. There it is. That's what I want.
Right. So talking about flying cars,
This is not a car.
it's
I'm maintaining that.
I
This is a
know.
goddamn. It looks like a seaplane.
It's so I think they're trying to call it a car because it's a flying taxi. Uber's actually announced stuff related to this previously, and I guess Hyundai is the one that's developing the actual vehicle. But what they're trying to do is create like an Uber type system that goes through the air. How much it would cost, no freaking clue. But I do
Way
know
more
that
than
they're
any of us will ever see
building
in our.
one of the little like stations not too far from where we live to
Really?
start testing. And I'm just like,
Huh.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I wonder if they're building one in Raleigh.
I don't know. I know that there's
Look.
one here. I know that there's one in LA, and I'm not sure.
There's one in LA.
Well, yeah. And I'm not sure how much it extends beyond that. But yeah, so this is a thing that's being pushed by Uber. And they showed this weird, it's not really a helicopter, but it's definitely not a car. I don't know what it is, but they're supposed to be electric, and I don't know.
I still think it's way too early to like
I mean,
more.
they're planning for 2023. I'm sure that's going to move.
Yeah, but it only goes up to 60 miles. Like, what's the use?
It's so
Like,
that you can
I get
skip
it
traffic in your commute.
I get it. I get it for huge urban centers like LA where traffic is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But all this is gonna do, it's just gonna be one more.
And it's like sky congestion. Like, I don't know.
No, I'm seeing a more political angle, but we'll ignore that for now.
Okay.
Because this is not a politics podcast.
So Neon, this company named Neon, is creating digital humans.
We're dead. Terminators. We're done.
So they're like screen based. It's not like they can walk around in the real world.
They will evolve. They will evolve to download their consciousness into robots, and we will all be fucked.
So
calling it.
They're digital humans that are designed to look and behave like real people, and they call them neons. And the idea is that they would be brand spokespeople, fitness instructors, or other similar type things. And the first thing I thought of when I saw this was like, if you've seen the workout thing called the mirror, where they like basically when they film stuff for it with the fitness instructors, whatever, they put them like in a black room, and then they put their image on the screen. I could see that type of thing being used in that sort of application.
See, it mentions nothing about voices. Are these avatars going to be able to develop their own voices, or do they have to be voiced by actors?
I don't know.
That's the question. And you would have to literally record an entire lexicon. That would take ages.
Right.
But
I don't know.
More to the point, I feel like this is just like companies would use this to like, instead of hiring an actor, we could just make a neon. I don't know.
That's a possibility.
It feels like a really weird niche kind of thing. Also, this guy looks like Killmonger from Black Panther, but in nerd outfit.
No, he doesn't.
To me, he does. He straight up looks like Michael B. Jordan to me. I don't know. I think it's the jawline that does it for me.
The jawline is similar. I will give you that.
I don't know.
So
I just wanted to think of Killmonger in a nerd outfit. That's all.
I get it.
Yeah.
If you watch Chronicle, he kind of has nerdish outfits.
Yeah, a little bit.
Samsung had announced a borderless TV. It's not actually borderless. The bevel is like 2 point some millimeters thick, which is crazy. But I saw something that they were estimated to be to like $10,000. So I'm gonna stick with the small bevel on my TV.
Well, this just irritates me because like we've had 4K for a while, and there's still a lot of stuff that doesn't support it. Like there's still like 4K is only something that's really sought after by people who are developing home theaters or hard friggin' gamers or full-time streamers. Like
yeah,
for
the
the average
8K
household,
thing
4K
is just
not a
like
must. It's overkill.
Let's just pack things in because we can
like,
and charge more money.
What's the point? I just like
it's kind of like the
want
3D TV thing to me.
Yeah. I'm like, and I love fancy tech. I want to live in the future so fucking bad. Like I want holodecks and tricorders and spaceships and shit. Like that's what I want to see that in my lifetime.
Same.
But at least have your tech have some level of practicality.
Right. It needs to have an actual purpose and application.
Yeah, not just more dick measuring.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And then there's the Segway S-Pod.
We are one step closer to Wall-E.
Right. So it's an electric scooter that's sort of egg-shaped. And
it kind of looks like... They reference Wall-E. Yeah.
Yeah, they do reference Wall-E in the article. So it kind of looks like a recliner on wheels in some ways. But it's also an electric wheelchair. Or at least that's the intent, I think.
So basically like a Charles Xavier, Professor X kind of
right
look to it.
Right. Which, I mean, if I am in need of a wheelchair, like that would be pretty dope. Yeah, I'd be cool with riding around in that.
Go in style, man. Like that, I'm okay. Like that has a practical use. That would be cool.
Right.
I would absolutely Mr. Bean it out and just like make it look like an old ratty recliner. But that's just me.
Fair enough.
That has a use. That has a practical, like, I'm okay with it.
Right.
This is fine.
It's definitely an improvement in terms of comfort when it comes to wheelchair technology. So,
yes.
So for those folks who like that's their main mode of transportation, absolutely let's give them something more comfortable to hang out in. So,
yep.
All right. Well, that takes us to the end of the 2020 news for this week. It has been there's been a lot of stuff to catch up on, but
yeah, and for first time or new listeners, podcast this had a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of shit, and we took a long hiatus to cover.
So,
but yeah,
please forgive.
Future episodes will not be nearly this long.
Thank you for sticking it out with us. We appreciate you. And we hope that we see you on the next one. We're anticipating weekly uploads. We'll be covering more recent news. So definitely not trying to recap previous years.
Nope.
And if you want to catch any of our previous episodes, you can go to gildedgeek.com or hit up our Twitter at Geekly Newscast. Otherwise, we will see you next time.
Bye.